beautiful. Hold on one second. I'm out here with my dog too. It's beautiful. It's sunny and kind of a nice temperature. Yeah. I
Yeah,
just moved here a few days ago.
nice.
Seems a lot sunnier out there in Washington than here on the east side.
Say that again.
Tell me again, which city are you in?
Washougal?
Washougal.
Yeah,
Where's that?
east of Vancouver,
East of
down by
Vancouver.
Portland.
Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
off
Yeah, I
the
was just
river near
saying
Portland.
it looks a lot sunnier down there than it is up here on the east side of Seattle.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, it's a little cloudy off in the other direction, but there is a nice little break in the clouds with some sun coming through. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, as we wait for people to kick in, we usually start with an icebreaker, but I thought we'll keep it short. Um, so just send an emoji that describes how you're feeling right now. And we'll just start off with that for today's talk.
I'm trying to find my emojis here. I
Okay.
like Ion emoji.
He wants to sleep. Okay. Trying to find the one. This is harder
There's
than
some
I thought.
there's some fun emojis here. I've never
Yeah.
really gone looking.
Ghost, pumpkin.
Look, I can have different hairstyles, just no emojis.
Oh, there's a duck emoji.
Think I'll just do this one that's, the party one. And not that I'm feeling in a party mode, but just really excited for the move and all the beautiful nature that I'm experiencing. So it just feels like a celebration at this new start.
Definitely. Is there an emoji for empathy? Oh, we can do a giraffe. Okay. All right. All right, then we'll just get started. Today's speaker, we have Shri Radhika with us. If you've been to one of her talks, you know she's an amazing orator, and she has been specializing in empathic communication for a long time, and she shares her knowledge in the most beautiful way. Um, she actually works as an HR director professionally at nonprofit organizations, but she's also a yoga teacher. And I've met her kids, and you can probably tell she homeschools them because they're amazing. So she's also a homeschooling mom. And both her and her husband run a center called the Atma Center, where they provide courses for empathic communication, etc. Just send a link right over in a second. But so excited to have you here, Sri Radhika, and learn about empathy with you. We have a smaller group, but hopefully people can trickle in a little later. So yeah, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me back. I've met Ion before. Melissa, have we met before? One of these sessions? No. Well, it's nice to meet you. It's nice to have you here today. All right. Thank you. It's my first time. So we're going to do some empathy practice. I titled our time together today, Offering Presence. Empathy is an act of love. And I wanted to share before we get started my orientation to the topic, and then I want to invite the three of you to share what brings you here. And it could just be that you're a regular and you've got to be here because you're the Zoom host or whatever. But I am deeply moved by this topic. It's something that I've been studying very deeply for the last 9 years. And I was quite surprised by the lack of empathy as I was growing up. I grew up in a very difficult situation at home and outside, and that just sent me on this quest. Um, and of course, I discovered my spiritual path of Bhakti Yoga. And perhaps I was surprised, but not so surprised that even within spiritual traditions, sometimes there can be a lack of empathy. I've talked to other practitioners and other traditions, and that's not an uncommon experience. So I was deeply moved to um, I'll share this slide. Create what you wish existed. I thought, okay, well, then here's an opportunity for me to um, be the need that I want to see in the world. And I just decided to learn and practice and learn and practice. And just by that, others are inspired to also learn and practice along with me. So this is what brings me here. And I want to ask you if there's anything about the topic or the description that I shared that interests you, or yeah, whatever brings you here and how you orient to the topic of empathy.
I'm here because, well, I'm typically here most Wednesdays, but I always love learning about ways that spiritual science can be applied in a more practical manner. And I think one that is most apt is, of course, communication, because, of course, there's communication with words, but there's so many other ways that we communicate with the world around us. And communication, essentially, if we boil it down, is a form of interaction. And interaction has so many more modes of, or modalities, perhaps. And I find that it eventually, when you trace it down, it does reach spirituality. And there's something so deeply spiritual about communication. So I'm excited to learn a little bit more about that and how, even in our interactions, we can have a spiritual attitude or a spiritual lens at the way we're looking at situations or um, interactions.
Wow, I'm glad this is recorded because I want to like transcribe that. So our interactions or our communication is not separate from our spirituality, but communication is the realm within which our spirituality is tested, and we have an opportunity to practice it. Thank you, Manya.
Yeah. I was thinking about my interactions with my friends and family, and sometimes I feel like that the support I can provide sometimes falls short, and I want to learn ways on how to do that properly. Sometimes, like, I'll try to relate their situation to mine or try to empathize with them, but I want to learn different ways on how I can do that in a way that supports them and not me, if that makes sense. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you. So you wish to support and be of service in the lives of those that you interact with. Thanks. Welcome, Carolina. I'm Sri Radhika, and I started with sharing what brings me here. Very passionate about the topic of empathy, and I invited others to share. So I'm wondering if Melissa, if you wanted to share something.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Both of what's been shared already aligns with very similar interests I have on this topic. Looking at the dynamics in my relationships and how I can be a better communicator, and not having it framed around trying to connect with them through the sharing necessarily of my own stories and experiences, but really learning how to be present uh, with people in their experiences. So yeah, and as I step into some service work um, later this year, I'm training to be a death doula. It's empathy is something that I really want to be able to embody more, and hold space for people in that way. Although there is something to be able to share and connect in similarity, but I don't want to necessarily overshadow what they're experiencing. So learning how to be um, empathic for their need and space to be seen and validated. Yeah.
Wow, what a sacred service, that last transition of life, the death doula. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I'm honored that you're here and you're interested in this topic and providing an empathic presence during that time for people. I'm wondering, Carolina, if you feel ready or you still need some time to land.
Yeah, I'm still trying to understand.
No worries. Yeah. All right. So thank you. That gives me more of a sense of grounding regarding where we're all at with respect to this topic of empathy. So um, I'm wondering if Ayan, you would be willing to read this quote by Thich Nhat Hanh.
Understanding someone's suffering is the best gift you can give another person. Understanding is love's other name. If you do not understand, you can't love.
Thank you. So, understanding is one of our most reliable ways to demonstrate love. And often it's not enough to just say, I understand. Are there some skills we can learn that really demonstrate that understanding in a way that truly lands as having been gotten, as having been received, as having been seen and understood? So, fortunately, nonviolent communication gives us three specific tools that we can practice. Fortunately, empathy is a skill set. It's like going to the gym and doing 10 of these and 10 of those and 15 of these. We can develop these muscles. So, empathy is described like oxygen for the lungs or water for a parched body. When we receive empathy, there's this quality of settling within us that is inimitable. And first, I want to look at the etymology of the word empathy. So it comes from Latin. Pathos in Latin means suffering or experience or something that one undergoes or something that happens to one. So from pathos, there are a few words that have been derived. Sympathia means feeling for someone. Antipathia is feeling against antipathy. Apathia or apathy is having a lack of concern. It's without pathos. And finally, empathia or empathy in English is in, within. So empathy is a quality of understanding another person's experience that provides warm accompaniment without judgment. So accompaniment is this experience of being heard, understood, of mattering. The power of empathy is that when we can take the perspective of another person, our hearts are likely to be moved and changed. So you see in this image that I'm trying to see what the world looks like from your lenses, and you're trying to see what it looks like from my lenses. And it's really important to understand that empathy is understanding independent of agreement. Oh, welcome, Dana. So sometimes people say, well, like I couldn't disagree more with the political views or whatever of this other person. Like there's no way I can be in empathy with them, you know. And the good news is that we don't have to agree. We don't even have to disagree. We don't even have to like what the other person is saying to be in empathy with them. So there's this beautiful verse in Bhagavad Gita. It's Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, text 11, where Krishna says, Anukampa. So anybody who knows Hindi knows kapna means to tremble. So similarly in Sanskrit, kampa means to tremble. Anu is along with. So Krishna says, I tremble with you. That is the quality of empathy. So here's Gopakumar, who's finally gone back after this long foray in the material world to the spiritual world. And Krishna hugs him, and he just is so happy to see Gopakumar. He faints. Krishna faints. And then they revive him. He comes back to life, and then again he hugs him, and again he faints. The Lord sitting within each one of our hearts, He says, Anukampa, I tremble with your suffering and I enjoy your celebrations and your joys. Empathy doesn't have to be just for dark times. I like this quote: I would rather walk with a friend in the dark than alone in the light. And have you noticed the world is getting darker and darker? Um, it's a place where there's just so much suffering that is going on and so much uncertainty. I mean, we don't know if one day to the next we're going to have a job. Our colleges are closing down. It's like, you know, so the world is a very dark place. And if we can provide this quality of accompaniment, attunement, resonance, that's a great service we can do. We can't change. We don't always have the capacity to change circumstances. We live within domination structures, schools and workplaces and da 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 da. But giving somebody the experience of being accompanied in those can mitigate their suffering, mitigate the experience of being alone. So if any of you have seen a piano tuner tuning a piano, they have this tuning fork, and they'll take the tuning fork to the keys, and they resonate in a certain way. I don't know what the science behind it is, but they know how to tune the key just right. And so I think of empathy as that attunement, as that resonance, as that full body. It's not mental. We're going to do some exercises today that are going to involve some thinking, but really it's about dropping down into the body, the level of the cells, and accompanying someone. So I want to invite Carolina. I'm wondering if you would be willing to read this quote. It is by Miki Kashtan. She's a certified trainer in nonviolent communication.
Sure. I want to hear others through the lens of the meaning their actions have for them rather than through the effect their actions have on me. The very root of empathy resides in this fundamental shift. Whenever someone's actions are at odds with our own needs, most of us, most of the time, do the latter, do the latter. And that way, we keep our attention on ourselves rather than on the other person. We cannot be in empathy when we are focused on how things affect us.
So this shift of seeing through the lens of the meaning somebody's actions have for them rather than through the effect it has on me. This is the quintessential quality of empathy. So, as an example, um, my younger son was expressing that he was upset with me this past weekend. And it was because about a couple of weeks ago, one of his friend's mom had asked me if that kid could come for a sleepover to my home. And I had agreed without consulting my son. And so this weekend, he was demonstrating some behaviors like not talking to me or not smiling or not responding. And I was interpreting them as he's upset. And now uh, I can look through the lens that his actions are having on me, the effect of my needs for inclusion and belonging and connection and love are not being met. And I'm feeling dejected. And um, I would love for us to have some communication. So that's all the impacts on me. But till I'm caught up there, I cannot be in empathy with him. So empathy means that shift of, Jiva, what does this mean for you? Ah, you want choice and autonomy. You want the respect of being asked who can sleep over and not sleep over in your room on a particular weekend. So it's this ability to like shift from, impacts on me to meaning that this holds for the other person. And so one of the most important skills, and we're going to practice this today, is tracking whose needs are in the spotlight. So here we see that the spotlight is on her. And when we are sitting in empathy with a person, the entire time that we want to be in empathy, the spotlight is on them. Even if, and there were a couple folks that had shared, they like to share their experiences. And there's nothing wrong with that, as long as we can maintain the focus and use that as a way to connect and understand your experience. So that was a mouthful. I want to pause there and invite any reflections, sharing questions. This is very vulnerable for me to walk into a group where everybody knows everybody. So I request for you to share how this is landing for you.
I guess something that just came up for me is, as a mother, how caring it was for you to ask him first instead of being like, why are you ignoring me? Blah, blah, blah. But I feel like behind that also takes a sort of inner strength to be able to do that. And sometimes we don't have that, and we can't look at their need. How does that get built? Is it just practicing over time?
Yeah, I call it the innocence fragility. So because I have such a fragile sense of self-worth, that when somebody tells me, you did something, you didn't ask me, I collapse into defensiveness. What do you mean? You're only 12. Like, you're always okay with him coming over. You have friends all the time. But if I can hold and have a deep sense of mattering to myself, and that I bring this, amazing value to the world, that my mattering is not on the table, that my self-worth is not what I'm hustling for, then I can hear what you're telling me in terms of impacts on you without collapsing into defensiveness. So it is so important to be in empathy with others, to have this expansive capacity to have empathy for ourselves, right? So holding my innocence too. Yeah, 2 weeks ago she talked to me at a program. I was rushing, like she said, and I thought this would meet my son's need for inclusion. Um, Also holding my own beauty of the needs that I was trying to meet in the moment really helps to develop this capacity to show up in moments where somebody's telling me about impacts. And like you said, practice. So I don't always get it right in the moment. And then I do repair work. I go back and I say, when you told me how that affected you, and I said, but, that word but like negates everything. I want to go back to that. And I mourn that I wasn't able to really connect with what you were expressing without going into my own story and defending myself. So I do a lot of repair work too.
Thank you.
Thank
That
you.
The concept of kind of having our own value and knowing our own value and worth is so key, that when you express that, I just felt like I had this aha moment, because it's something that I'm struggling with, in the sense of having this understanding of myself. There's a prayer I would say, it's a St. Francis prayer of like, help me to understand rather than being understood. But if we can show up for others from our grounded space of understanding ourselves, I am getting now what you're saying of like, then that prepares us to be able to show up for them in an empathic way. Because it's like our agenda of being understood is off the table now, right? Like,
There you go.
and yeah, that self-forgiveness, what you were explaining about repair, we aren't going to always get it right and perfect, but even though we may have had good intentions, we can share what those intentions are potentially, but then we don't have to necessarily understand our perspective. We know, and if we can show up in that repair space and through our own self-forgiveness. So for me, it's like the takeaway is like understanding ourselves and being able to forgive ourselves in order to be able to show up in an empathic way.
Yeah. Thank you. And empathy is a choice. We don't always have the capacity and willingness. Sometimes we are so deeply impacted that we're not in a position. So, we're not saints. Let's just be honest about it. We have limited capacities and limited willingness. And it's not that with empathy, right now we're focusing on empathy. So, yes, it's about the need for understanding is off the table. We're fully tracking that the spotlight is on the needs of the other person. But there is also self expression. There is a time and place and a way within nonviolent communication to express ourselves. So we're not dropping ourselves, we're choosing to focus on the needs of the other with this practice of empathy. Thank you so much. So let's dive into the practice. What empathy is not. And I think we did like role plays in this group once with it's not advice. It's not correcting someone, evaluating, interrogating, one up. Oh, you think that's bad? Let me tell you what's wrong with my life. It's not consoling and reassuring either. Sometimes when we haven't integrated our own darkness, we're so uncomfortable hearing the dark sides of somebody's life that we want to flip on the light, switch on the light and like, you're okay, everything's okay, you'll be just fine. Because we're so uncomfortable with the dark. So empathy requires on our part to have done our internal work. Our own healing is part of this whole process of being in service to others. It's not pushing away feelings. It's also not sympathizing, which is, I'm so sorry, I feel terrible for you. The focus is now on me and I'm feeling, I'm not resonating so much. I'm in the misery with you. So what is empathy then? Let's go to those 3 skills. One misunderstanding of empathy is that we have to use words. And often, actually, especially when people are first starting to learn empathy skills or nonviolent communication, they can give others the NVC allergy. Like people run the other way when we start like, oh, are you feeling because you need, it's like sometimes it's just better to like not use so many words and just be in nonverbal empathy. So we'll dive into that. Another skill is empathic guess or reflection. And finally, empathic response. So I'm going to demonstrate these with Manya today. Nonverbal language embodies inner orientation. I want to, while I'm sitting in empathy with you, track what is coming up for me and my capacity to maintain my focus on you. I want to hear the unspoken behind your words. I want to listen from within the other person's heart and soul without leaving myself. This is the way I orient my body, my eyes, my facial expressions in a way that you know that I'm with you. I sit forward. I'm not crossing my arms. You know, I use expressions such as, whew, wow, oh my gosh, whew, that's rough. This is all part of nonverbal empathy. These are ways to let people know they are received. And empathic guess or reflection, this is the second skill. So we want to capture the longing or the heart of the matter. What is important for the speaker that you also value? Connect with the need that they're expressing. We want to use positive language. Focus on what they want rather than what they don't want. We want to hold non-judgment of everyone in the field. Let's say Manya is telling me, Ayan, every time I tell him show up 10 minutes early and like introduce the speaker. So she's like complaining to me about Ayan. And I want to hold everybody's innocence at the same time because it's not helpful to people to have judgments about others. So with my empathic guess or reflection, I want to empathize with their feelings and needs, their human experience, not with their narratives, the stories. He's so irresponsible. He's so lazy. I can never depend on him. You know, all these stories. But instead, oh, you really long for responsibility. It is so important to you that everything happens on time. You really want to be sure that the speakers are welcome. Is that what's going on for you? So notice I'm not saying anything, he's so terrible. I'm empathizing with her without agreeing with her judgments. And we're making guesses. We're checking for understanding. We're open to being corrected. She could say, no, I just need respect. I want to know that I matter. When I place a request on someone to show up 10 minutes early, when they show up 10 minutes, oh, okay, so that's what's going on. So it's just a guess, and it's a humble guess. I'm happy for you to correct me. And in fact, if you correct me, it sometimes helps you drop to the next level down in your vulnerability and check, is it respect? No, actually, it is responsibility. So being wrong actually is sometimes even better because it helps people self connect. And finally, empathic response. Sharing how I'm being moved, touched, things I'm resonating with, inspired by, appreciating. Anything I'm being moved or touched by, anything I resonate with or can relate to, shared reality or shared experience, anything I agree or even sympathize with, keeping the focus on you, anything I'm inspired by, we can share an appreciation or gratitude. Thank you for your trust in opening your heart to me. Why your sharing matters to me, and expressing my authentic desire for the person to meet their needs, even if I do not align with the strategy. So I may not align with the strategy of that person has to show up 10 minutes early, but I can still express a desire for you to meet your need for responsibility. There are multiple strategies that can be used to meet that need. So empathic response could be something like, wow, I'm really feeling so tender hearing what it takes to keep this group going week after week. Yeah, I can really think of situations at my own work where I've requested someone for some support and I haven't received it. But I don't want to get and now, the shift is on me, and like now Manya is consoling me. If I want to be in empathy, want to be able to track focus. So I want to pause there and request for any sharings, questions. How's this landing for you? Experiences.
Your framing of their experience was really helpful for me to understand how to not attach into someone's story, like to relate differently. It's so easy to just feel like you want to, validate what they're experiencing and complaining about or whatever, but it's not really about engaging in the story. So thank you for sharing that reframe. That really helped.
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy to hear this. Yeah, it's our suffering comes from these narratives, right? My husband doesn't care about me, Melissa. I mean, he still is not back from work. Okay, like what kind of da 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 da? I'm suffering because of these narratives that I'm believing in. And so you don't want to perpetuate my suffering by giving me empathy. And that's what we do when we agree with judgments. We think we need to validate people. Just connect with the feeling and need. You're so disappointed because you have such a need for connection. You really value family dinners together. Is that what's going on for you? You're not wronging him.
Right.
You're not saying you are right, Shri. What a jerk he is.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah,
have to
I love
agree.
this.
You don't have
I
to
love
disagree.
this because I feel like that's something I get sucked up into so easily with friends and family of like the validating, right, of their story, but learning the skill. And I like how you in the beginning mentioned that this is a muscle we can flex, like learning the skill to be curious about the feelings and what's underlying for them emotionally behind the story. Yeah. So that lens of curiosity um, feels like it just opened a door to empathy for me in a new way.
And the beauty of it is that we don't have to have a shared experience. If you're telling me about a painful divorce, I don't have that experience, but boy, do I know what depression, what being in despair, um, feeling hopeless. Boy, do I know those feelings. So I can tap into the same feelings and needs. Yeah, I have a need for companionship. Togetherness is really important to me. I can tap into feelings and needs without having shared experience, even with another person. Yeah, there's such a beauty in learning about feelings and needs as separate from narratives and stories and judgments. So I want to move into a practice now. And I'm going to share that one slide that um, has the 3 empathy skills. And if you like, I can make these slides available to you because, as you can see, I'm skipping through a lot of content. And I'm going to request Manya to be my partner in crime. We're going to, after we demonstrate, request you to go into breakout rooms if you're willing. You have the option to choose not to do so. But if you're willing, you'll be with another person. And each person will have 4 minutes to share a challenging situation from your life. And if you don't have anything, let me know. I'll borrow you a few of my challenges. And I don't want you to choose a 10 on your scale. You're going to go into a full blown trauma response right here. And I don't want it to be a 0. Like it should be something that's significant enough to you, somewhere between a 4 and a 5, maximum 6, in terms of how challenging it is for you right now. And the other person just hears. And if that means it's nonverbal empathy, so be it. This was a crash course. Or maybe you make a guess or reflection of like feelings and needs. Or maybe you respond with how you're being touched and moved. So to demonstrate what you're going to be asked to do in breakouts, Manya, will you be willing to share a challenge?
Yes. So in a week, I am graduating college, and it's an exciting milestone, but it also means a lot of change. So I guess I'm sitting with two feelings. One is understanding that people I'm with, my friends, I'm not gonna see them in a while, and we're all like kind of going our own ways. So there's a sense of like change in terms of friendship. And I'm feeling that more so because I've been seeing my friends and others do so many extracurriculars, be presidents of so many club, have all of this, and also have time to go out and many college things that typically people do. And the more I reflect, I've started to realize that my college experience has been very different from what other people have had because I tried to be more disciplined, like try to get my sleep and stuff like that. And I feel like because of that, I haven't been able to even give more time to these friendships. And that
Mm.
makes me be like, okay, like kind of like a guilt of maybe I should have given that time and invested more in these relationships. And I've just seen my parents have these crazy college stories, and even back in India where they studied and how it was like the best time of their lives. And it was nice for me, but I don't know. I'm just kind of feeling like could have done more. Um, yeah, that's just kind of what I'm sitting with right now.
Mm. Wow. What an exciting time coming up. A full life transition. Talk about life transitions. This is one where, like, you change your location, what you're doing with your time, who you're with. So, a really significant change coming up in a week's time. And I'm hearing this grief and mourning around friendships that are going to look different moving forward, and also some guilt. You made some different choices than most of your friends did. And you're wondering, perhaps you missed out on some of the connection that might have been possible and some of the stories, the nostalgic stories you hear from your parents. So you're kind of ambivalent. There's some, mixed feelings, it sounds like. Is that what's going on for you?
Yeah, I would say so because I've heard that doing hard things is not always easy, and sometimes those decisions were hard to make when I had to choose between like my own need of doing things I wanted versus also balancing time with people. So it's this sense like I was happy with the decisions when I made them, but now that it's kind of coming to an end, it's sort of like reflecting on them. So I guess I'm in between.
Yeah. So there's some celebrations and needs met with the choices that you made, and sounds like some needs unmet. Yeah. And I feel so tender hearing. Um, yeah, I hit this tender place because I can remember, some relationships where I wish I had invested more time and energy. So I want to pause there, out of the role play now. Just wondering, Manya, how that was for you.
That was nice. I liked when you asked a question to me
Hmm.
where I could clarify on what I was feeling.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
So you're the authority of your experience, and
Mhm.
you're welcome to correct me when I ask a question instead of stating your
Mhm.
experience.
Yeah, yeah, I will.
Um, yeah. So I would say there's no right or wrong here. Just play. Give your presence to your partner. So we're going to do 9 minutes plus 60-second warning for the breakout rooms to end. So you have a total of 10 minutes. You can split it up evenly, or I'm suggesting, 1 minute to say hello and choose who goes first, who keeps time, and then 4 minutes per person. But you decide.
Sounds good. They should be open now. Is Dana here or Carolina?
We left our session too soon. We still had 60 seconds, but um yeah, you're muted.
Yeah, I didn't know what happened there. That was weird. I thought we were
Yeah.
getting bumped out of our breakout room.
Yeah, it said you can either leave now or it was giving us a 60-second warning. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Melissa.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the connection.
You too. Are you a regular that comes to the meetings, or how is
Um,
your connection here working?
so they invite me every now and then. So I do these special sessions every now and then.
Mm,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Welcome back. I'd love to hear one voice, especially from someone that I haven't heard yet today, of how that was for you, either on the receiving side, receiving empathy, or giving empathy.
I can share.
Yeah, tell us.
Um, so receiving was good. I talked about because I work in a ER, and then it's a super stressful situations, and a lot of times we get treated really bad because the patients, have they're in pain, or yeah, just it's so complex, right? Their lives and the situations they are in, um and I really try to be empathic and understand what they are going through and still be kind. And but sometimes it's just so hard, like you get treated so bad, and that sometimes I think I don't behave the way I believe and I want. And that makes me feel like bad when I leave her tonight and I replay what happened. I'm like, oh, I can, I should have done this or that. And so then this whole class made me our discussions today, like, oh, I want to do better in like this stressful situations. And then when Ayan was just saying, like, um oh, that must be like really hard. It's just like um kind of saying like that he understands that it's a hard situation, like to so just saying that made me feel really good. Um
Wow. Yeah, so I'm
yeah,
hearing this yearning to be able to provide care and contribute and some mourning around, sometimes you hit your capacity limits
yes.
and just
Um
being told that what you're doing is hard work.
yes,
That really
already
met your
helped it
need
a
to
lot.
be seen. Yeah,
Yes.
thank you.
Um yeah, sure. And then when I was giving the feedback, I just yeah, was hard. Because usually I don't think about, I consider that I'm an empathic person. But like when I was watching and seeing these slides, and I'm like, oh, sometimes I even example, something that's happened with myself. So then is this okay? Probably not, because it's switching the spotlight, just made me think, that sometimes I maybe do things that I should not do. So, I was like, oh, what should I say? Is this okay to say or not? So it was a little bit, like, yeah, I was a little bit nervous trying to not say the wrong thing.
Yeah, so even though you can very naturally provide empathy, but after having particularly gone through certain models and like, track focus, and then it was a little bit more intellectual exercise and it was becoming a little harder.
Yes, yes,
So I just want you all to notice that what I was doing today with my reflections and receiving people, this is part of the empathy. So I was trying to demonstrate the empathic skills through how I was responding to you. And I want to close with this slide in response to what Carolina shared. In spite of all similarities every living situation has, Like a newborn child, a new face that has never been before and will never come again. It demands of you a reaction that cannot be prepared beforehand. It demands nothing of what is past. It demands presence, responsibility. It demands you. So enjoy experimenting with these skills. I'll make the slides available to Manya. Thank you. I'm deeply honored to be invited in your presence again today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
This
Thank
was
you.
so fun.
Thank you so much.
So great.